Hey boys and girls, and welcome to Social Studies. Today I'm going to teach you how to describe the Georgia Creek and Cherokee cultures of the past, including what tools they used and clothing they wore. This is important so we can identify the difference in the two tribes. The Cherokee tools. The Cherokee people made tools to help their lives easier. They used bow and arrows, they used spears, they used tomahawks, and they used a blowgun. Each of these tools are items that they would be able to make out of natural things they'd find, out of trees, out of stones, out of feathers from animals. Okay, so these are tools that they would use to help them hunt, to help them cut things up. All right, so most of these tools right here are used for hunting. The Creek tools are very similar. They also had bow and arrows, and they also had spears, just like the Cherokee. Another tool that the Creek used were nets. They used nets whenever they would go fishing, because remember, the Creek live near the ocean where it's very wet. They live in the coastal plains and in the Piedmont region, so they had nets also that they would use to help them fish. So we can say over here the blowgun and the tomahawk are two tools that the Cherokee used that the Creek might not necessarily have used as much, but maybe they had that tool. Here's a comparison of tools then versus tools now. So tools now, you see that they're made out of metal and plastic, and there's several different kinds of tools like wrenches and screwdrivers. Where over here, things that were found in nature are the only things that they would be using to hunt, like wood right here and stone. Okay, so there's a difference between what they used to use and what we use now. These are tools we would buy in a store. These are tools they would use and create from natural resources. Clothing. What they wore was very different from what we wear. They would still have, the men would have shirts and pants with moccasins with their shoes. The women would wear dresses with moccasins. Their clothes were mostly made from deer skin. So they would kill the animal for food, but they'd use the skin and the fur to help them make their clothing, because remember, they didn't have a store to go to, so they had to use their resources to help make clothing. The Creek clothing were very similar, but a little bit different. They had shirts and pants and moccasins just like the Cherokee tribe did, but their style was a little bit different. The women wore dresses just like the Cherokee, but again, their styles were just a little bit different. And again, their clothes in the Creek were made out of deer skin, just like the Cherokees. Now, if we compared their clothing to today's clothing, you can see their clothing was made from the natural resources around them. Deer skin and the fur and the feathers, right? Now, what we buy, we'd go buy in a store, or we'd buy cotton and be able to, some people sew their clothes, but that's still not the same thing that they did back then. They would have to go buy the cotton or buy the clothes. So remember, they didn't have stores to buy clothes from, so they used what they had. All right, so what we're going to do now, boys and girls, is we are going to write down what we just learned in our social studies notebook. So go ahead and get your notebook out, and we're going to be writing the information inside these charts together. I will see you back on Zoom in a moment.